Who and or what is important to you?
I think what is important to me would be the truth, and right now it seems like it's in very short supply. Truth and justice seem to be the thing that centers me in my identity. It's very difficult for me not to tell the truth. I as much as I wanted to make movies in Hollywood, and make up stories, I gravitated to portraits and documentaries and telling other people's truths and finding in the story what it is about the subject that I resonates within me, and finding the truth is definitely what is important.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of King Crush Thursday, the series where we highlight and uplift Black men because, frankly, not too many people are doing it. My name is Val Gay, and I'm super excited about this brother today. Let's see. He is an award winning filmmaker, curator, and media host from Philadelphia. He has worked with a plethora of who's who in the film industry and media industry, and I'm just so grateful that he said yes today. Please welcome my guest, Mike Dennis. Hey, Mike.
Hey Val, how can I say no? I've known you forever. You put me on a lot of great opportunities when you're at the Bride, and I'm so excited at your current ventures. So yeah, it's a no-brainer to come on and talk manhood.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. And
I'm your
just
king crush. Okay.
yes, there you go. And just a point of clarification, I was at Art Sanctuary. One could say
Oh,
sister, the
duh.
sister org of the Bride, if you will. But yes,
Art Sanctuary. You're right. Okay. Well,
we work
this is
together.
uncut.
Yes,
So my mistake. Yeah, Art Sanctuary. Yeah,
yes.
many years ago.
Many years ago, and just great work. And I'm so glad that you are here. And so thank you for that. Because your presence here and the answers that you're about to give to the same 6 questions that I've asked every other brother is contributing to this repository where we are really looking to open up the window of the very myopic view that the society seems to have of Black men. And, what we see in the media, particularly, is usually one to two, maybe three stereotypes. And we just don't see the nuance and the myriad nature of your manhoodness, if you will, of your humanness, if you will. And so our goal ultimately is for a young king who may or may not have positive Black male role models to come to this repository, see the same 6 questions, and answered by all these amazing men, and hopefully find guidance there. And then for the rest of us who are neither male or even Black, for us to come to this repository, see these questions and hear these answers, and hopefully have our minds expanded too. And so I'm so glad that you're here to contribute to this repository. And I'm going to get started with the first question, which is, what does manhood mean to you?
Hmm. Good question. It's well, I'll answer the question, then I'll go back. You made me think of something. Manhood to me is about accepting responsibility for your actions. And I think in the past we had rite of passages that helped define us, that made us a man or made us a woman, but those things are no longer required. Like, we don't have to go out and hunt for bears. you know Coming of age, yeah, maybe losing your virginity could be a signal of a rite of passage, but it doesn't necessarily make you a man or a woman. And the reason I say it's accepting responsibility for your actions, it actually, it was something I put a lot of thought into when I was in my early 30s. I was like, well, when is this manhood thing going to start happening? Because I still felt very much, and I still feel like in parts of me still feels like I'm 15 years old. So I would hang out at the barbershop and I would ask questions like, when is this going to happen? And I put a lot of thought into it. I made a movie. I don't know if you saw, called Next Tuesday back in the day. It's on my YouTube channel. And what it is a dual coming of age story. It's about a young man in his 30s who decides to go back um, and take responsibility for the child that he fathered 11 years prior or 13 years prior. And it was received really well. We got music from John Legend and Kindred and Lady Alma and MC Breeze and Jazzy Fat Nasties. So it was kind of a interesting thing for me to explore at that time in my life. And it comes from a perspective of somebody who really was raised by their grandparents and didn't really. I only met my father twice in my life, once when I was 15 and then when I was 51. So I've looked for surrogates in a way my entire existence here on the planet. I mean, not to take anything away from my grandfather, but always looking for mentorship and guidance from elders. And yeah.
Wow. 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 Thank you. Thank you for that. So this dovetails, your answer dovetails right in nicely into the next question, which is who and or what is important to you?
Hmm. I think what is important to me would be the truth. And right now it seems like it's in very short supply. Truth and justice seem to be the thing that centers me in my identity. It's very difficult for me not to tell the truth. I As much as I wanted to make movies in Hollywood and make up stories, I gravitated to portraits and documentaries and telling other people's truths and finding in the story what it is about the subject that resonates within me, and finding the truth is definitely what is important. And then I'm just at a stage in my life where I'm just trying to focus on myself and really understand who I am right now, so that because at a certain point the well can run dry, and if you're not really clear about what it is that is important to you or who you are or what's important, um, and you're using other people or things, that's even worse, to define yourself, then that can be a very troublesome situation that you're putting yourself in. So I would say I'm I'm trying to center myself, so I'm the most important thing, and truth and justice will be the most important thing to me in terms of that sense of identity.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Are these good answers?
Yeah, they're great answers. These are your answers.
What did Mark Lamont Hill say?
Well, Mark keeps like avoiding me, but like let's
Oh,
find
he hasn't been on yet.
not
Okay.
yet, but he's gonna be on here because he keeps.
I just spoke into
You
existence.
just spoke it into existence. Every time I see him, like Mark, he's like, Val, I know, I am. So thank you.
He's a busy guy. He's
He is a
out
busy
there
guy.
selling
He
books
is
and
a busy
coffee and
guy.
talking
Yes.
and stuff. Yeah.
And we're super proud of him. And
Yes.
I'm so grateful that I know him. That I can be like Mark, you know. um,
Yeah, I'm like baby Mark. I just started at Temple, so hopefully one day I'll get to where he's at, but we'll see.
you're the Mike that we need right in this moment. And speaking of that, Mike, question 3 is how do you want us to see you?
Hopefully in a good light. I mean, I know, it's impossible for anybody to be uniformly loved, you know. So I don't worry about that as much, like, um, but we were talking before we started rolling just about how you never know who's watching. And I'm in a position now, I mean, since COVID happened, my YouTube channel blew up to over 1.5 million subscribers, right? And that was very, very confusing because my circumstances were the same, but somehow all this new attention was being brought my way, and I'd read the comments and they say never read the comments, right? But I would read the comments, and the same people that are going to love you, they'll voice their opinion about when you don't do things that they agree with. um you know I'm not like the zero F's given kind of person. I'm very sensitive, and I want to do the right thing. So I would hope that people appreciate what I bring to the table, and appreciate that very seldom do I ask for much in return. Um, I mean, much like you have a repository of information. I mean, our channel, thousands of pieces of Black ephemera, and um, we don't put our hands, well, we do put our hands out now, but you know you can watch it. It doesn't cost anything to go to YouTube and check out the channel and learn something new. So that's hopefully in a good light.
That's awesome. That is all. You said so much. That's awesome.
Okay,
Excellent.
sure.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great. So, Mike, what is your epic dream?
Oh, wow. Okay, well, now today, to be as successful running my new business as I have or haven't been in my previous existences. I mean, there's always room for improvement. I've always been entrepreneurial, but we're getting to the oops, bumped the mic. Getting to the finish line. I want to have a successful film distribution platform or company for Black cinema. Right now, so much of what we do is being threatened with erasure. And I don't know if it's a secret, but a lot of stuff that, I mean, there, I would say, about 15 years ago, I recognized that there was more Black film being made today than there had been in the entire history of cinema prior to, say, 2013, 2014. And that was just because of technology. More people had access to filmmaking and training and so on and so forth. So mathematically, it just exploded around that time. But so much of that work, if it's not properly taken care of, can get lost. So one of the things that I'm doing is starting Real Black Renaissance, which is a platform, a label, where you can watch, own, stream uh, movies that would otherwise fall through the cracks of time. So I want to be successful at that. That's my epic dream.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. You really have been answering question 5 all along implicitly, but I'm going to ask you explicitly. Mr. Mike Dennis, who are you?
Um, oh wow, okay. Besides being me, uh, well, I'm a Black filmmaker, a griot. If we were not captured and enslaved, our ancestors, I probably would be a storyteller back in Nigeria, where my peoples are from, according to ancestry. A griot, a filmmaker, a storyteller, a Zelig. I don't know if you know that movie, but it seems like when I look back, I just because I had the camera in my hand, I've been privy to a lot of experiences that I otherwise wouldn't have had. I've been in rooms with people and heard stories and helped capture stories that otherwise would be lost, you know. So, and consistently so since 1989, really. So yeah, but a black filmmaker, not a filmmaker who happens to be black. It's very important for me to make that distinction for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Sure.
So here we are, already at question 6, which is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, or you wanted me to ask you that I didn't? In other words, what did I miss?
Uh, you should say, what's that on your shirt?
What's that on your shirt?
I'm glad you asked, Val Gay. Um, it's Riverbend. And then you say, well, what's that on your hat?
What is that on your hat?
It's Riverbend is the first release from Real Black Renaissance. It's a feature film from 1989 about a trio of black soldiers who are on the lam. It's Vietnam era, civil rights era, and they come into a small town called Riverbend, Georgia, which is being terrorized by a white racist sheriff, and they're enlisted by the townspeople to help them stand up to their oppressor. And it's a very unique film. It's a blend of blaxploitation and canon film action, you know, so it's very entertaining. It stars Margaret Avery and Steve James. And we're starting our rollout now. We just got accepted into the American Cinematheque in Los Angeles, where we're going to be screening for the first time in Los Angeles a 35 millimeter print of the film. And then we're in the process of doing a 6K restoration. Everybody's talking about 4K, 4K this, 4K that. No, we're doing 6K because we got a hold of the negative of the film, and we're preserving and restoring the film for posterity. So you should be able to find it on physical media and streaming by mid 2026.
That's amazing. And first of all, I didn't even know there was such a thing as 6K. Keep that hat on. Didn't know there was such a thing as 6K. That's amazing. And Mike, I'm just really grateful for your work, for your 21st century griot manifestations, if you will. And that storytelling, we need to tell our stories. All of our stories need to be told. And if we don't tell them, somebody else will. And will they be accurate? And so I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for your dreams. I pray that your epic dream comes true sooner rather than later. I honor you, my king, and I am just really glad that you are here today and for your presence in the world and in my own life. So thank you.
I appreciate about. Oh, that reminded me. The first thing that I thought of, you were saying that we're so limited in terms of our view of black representation of male men in film, so to speak. And it reminded me of something that was in one of Hill Harper's books. I think it was called The Conversation. It was one of the books about relationships. And basically he said that there's two images of black men that we get, right? It's either the thug or the nerd, and there's no room in between, right? So, and that projects out into the world. Like, so, one of the points that he was making was there's no shortage of good black men. It's just 90% of the women have expectations to match up with one of the two archetypes, so either they're looking for Lil Wayne or Barack Obama, but if you fall anywhere in between those two poles, you're kind of on your own, so to speak, so and we see that kind of conditioning among black people who are not even American, how they have to buy into black American culture in order to find acceptance. They have an advantage for the most part because they also have a connection to their own roots. Whereas I would argue black Americans, we're still reaching and trying to find and connect the dots for our roots. But yeah, it's a challenge, and I applaud you for what you're doing consistently and with passion. So thank you for having me. And check out Real Black, REELBLACK. Just Google it. Wherever you find stuff, you'll find me.
That's awesome. We'll definitely have it down in the description below. Thank you. Thank you for all of that, everything that you just said. That, you know, one of the reasons why we have this is that I really want to change that narrative. And just like what we are seeing across the board, we were seeing years ago. Remember when Dove soap started their Real Women's campaign? And you have models, magazine models saying, I don't look like this. It took me 2 hours because we saw all these young girls hating themselves because they couldn't stand up to this stereotypical standard that was not real,
Hmm.
in these magazines. And I think very similarly, this is what we're seeing. And interestingly, we all know people that don't fit into those stereotypes. And so somehow or another, we don't think about them either, right? Like it's this weird thing. So I'm hoping that this platform, this repository, this series, this podcast really starts to put a dent in folks' minds, particularly, again, these young people, these young kings who hopefully will have an opportunity to explore who they are and explore their manhood through many different things, especially if they only see one or a couple of stereotypes in front of them, but they themselves don't represent the stereotype that they are seeing in front of them or is being presented to them.
Yeah, well, that's an important note to make. I mean, one of the things I tell people, younger people especially, is everything that I disliked about myself when I was younger, is it turns out that's what people like about me, you know?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and I think it comes from wanting to conform to these expectations that are placed on us by media, by other people, by outsiders. What makes us different is what makes us unique. And that's what people end up appreciating, once you take ownership of it. We recently lost Sly Stone, and he's got a great song called Remember Who You Are. He says, remember who you are, that's who you'll be. And I think it's very easy to spend a large part of your life running away from who you are. But I think once you take ownership of that, and unless you're a jerk, then don't listen to this. If you're a jerk, don't take this advice. But if you're about yourself, recognize, I didn't like my voice for the longest time, and then I got on the radio and people were like, we love the way you sound. So it's like, wow, okay, all right, whatever. you know I'll buy that for $1. I'll take ownership of it. It's something I can't change about myself, and it turns out there's something that people really like about me. So
What you just said is really beautiful and it's so important. I've come to the point of view and been saying it, particularly to young people, and sometimes not so young people, um, to stop trying to be like everybody else, right? And it's easier said than done. And it is true that we hear this all the time, that the things that stand out often now that
mhm.
people like when growing up, you hated it or somebody made fun of it or all those things, almost like a plot to keep you from moving into your greatness, if you will. But what I say to folks all the time now, so we don't need another Mike Dennis of Real Black because we got one of those. We need an insert your name here because we need that person, right? We need that person's unique perspective, that person's unique point of view. We need them to stand next to Mike Dennis because if Mike Dennis is doing his job to make sure that his square is all taken care of, and Val Gay is standing next to him, taking care of her square, and this person is taking care of their square. Before you know it, the whole block is cleaned up. The whole
Mm.
the whole community is cleaned up. The whole world is cleaned up or changed. And I think one person at a time. I don't think that is idealistic to think this way, that we each have something unique to contribute to the world, that we were all born and are on this planet at this moment for a particular purpose. And I don't care who they are in this world, we all have something to contribute. And I'm hoping that more of us get to see who we are and get to love ourselves and then share who we are uniquely made to be in this world. That is one of my dreams for our community and for our society writ large. And I'm just so grateful that you were here. And again, just stay right there because I want to thank the audience for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if there is a positive and successful Black man in your life who you want to see highlighted in this forum, please click the link below or in my bio, fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. I always say success does not equal what someone does for a living. He may be an award-winning filmmaker, storyteller, curator, media host like Mike, or not. We are interested in those brothers whose content of their character is contributing to their community, starting with their nuclear family and radiating out to the rest of us. Those are the brothers we also want to hear from and have contribute to this repository. So I just thank you so much for joining us. Please stay tuned next week for yet another amazing king. And in the meantime, please remember to spread love and have a great day. Thank you so much. And Mike, thank you. That was really awesome. Thank you. Yay.
Thank you. Thanks, Val.
Absolutely.